All right, one thing I've always said about the NBA in the 2020s is that the teams that won championships from 2020 up to now were not able to repeat that success. And right now, a lot of those same groups are scrambling to try to rebuild and salvage what they have to get back to that level they were once at. If you look at the Lakers in 2020, they won the championship. And since then, despite changing head coaches and bringing in a ton of new players, never got back to that level. Look at the Bucks. Won it in 2021, and despite changing head coaches and bringing in some new players, including Damian Lillard, we're not able to get back to that level, and where they're at right now is very confusing. I know one team right now outside of the Oklahoma City Thunder that has a really good chance of returning to that championship level, and that is the Denver Nuggets. I've been in love with what they've done so far throughout this offseason, making a ton of moves to add some more depth to the roster. If you look at them, one of their biggest issues throughout the season was a massive lack of depth. And let's think about the guys they gave away since winning in 2023. KCP, gone, right? Bruce Brown, gone. Two massive contributors to that championship in 23. And so far this offseason, they have gotten absolutely busy, including some moves to bring back Bruce Brown on a one-year deal. Trading away Dario Saric and bringing back Jonas Valanciunas, who's going to be the best backup center that Jokic has ever had in his career, unless you're talking about Yusuf Nurkic, who was like in the earlier part of Jokic's career. Just adding a ton of depth to this team. Tim Hardaway Jr. just signed on with them. On top of that, bringing in Cam Johnson and moving away MPJ, who I'm going to talk about in a second. There's a ton of really massive moves to add more depth to a roster that struggled in that department just last season. And let's look right now at their depth chart. You've got Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Peyton Watson, Jonas Valanciunas, Bruce Brown, Julian Strawther, Jalen Pickett, and also Tim Hardaway Jr. Your number one issue last season, amongst other things, was a lack of depth. Now you do not have to worry about that at all. This is a completely revamped and ready Denver Nuggets team that's also got a ton of experience, right? There's not a lot of players right now that are going to be in rotation that don't have meaningful playoff experience. And kind of moving over here to Cam Johnson, that applies to him, especially when you give away MPJ. The first thing you're thinking is, well, he was a massive contributor to Denver's 2023 NBA championship. And that's true. And I don't want to downplay MPJ's impact for this team, because when they won it back in 23, he was a massive offensive contributor, made some huge shots, generally has been a very efficient three-point shooter. But I don't think long-term he fit what Denver was trying to do. And I think we were going to get to this point. I thought we were going to get to this point at some point anyway, right? Like I knew there was going to be a point in time where we questioned MPJ's long-term fit with Denver. And he's a very talented player who I think does have some all-star upside. Is he overpaid? Maybe they jumped the gun a bit too early with him, but I did think there was going to be a point in time where we wondered about MPJ's fit with the Nuggets long-term, and with his upside and things like that. Could he end up being like a number one or a number two on a team down the road? And I think we finally hit this point. And I think Cam Johnson as a replacement works perfectly, because he also has NBA Finals experience. Back in 2021, was a starter on his son's team that got to the finals and did lose in 6 games to the Bucks. But still a really high impact player who saw a lot of growth with what he was doing offensively just last season for Brooklyn. And a lot of that is what he's going to be able to bring to the table here for this Nuggets team. He is an amazing catch and shoot player, right? But that isn't just him sitting on the wing and waiting for somebody to get him the ball. He's also really good when it comes to shooting off of movement. Whether you're getting him in DHOs or pin down actions, he can make stuff happen and position his body well to knock down 3-point shots. And not only can he shoot off of movement, but he can also attack off of those screens, which is a flawless fit with Nikola Jokic. It's not just Cam Johnson coming off of picks and getting to the 3-point line. He can drive to the rim. He's a really good attacker for a player who was traditionally just looked at as a catch and shoot guy. That was his identity in Phoenix. But one thing we saw from him last season in Brooklyn was his ability to make some things happen off the bounce. We saw that a ton. Really solid when it comes to getting downhill and getting to the rim and finishing around defenders. Really good when it comes to attacking closeouts as well. Just a really good downhill driver. Can do a lot. And once you're a good shooter, that attracts a lot of attention, and you're able to open up those specific parts in your game. And I think that's just a flawless fit, not just yet next to Jokic, but for this Nuggets offense as an entirety. So I'm excited for what this team is going to be able to do this upcoming season. And they obviously have had one of the better off seasons across the entire league. There's Atlanta and maybe a few other teams sprinkled in there, and the Denver Nuggets are definitely up there. Again, I said it earlier in this video. The teams that have won championships in the 2020s were not able to make the moves they needed to make to return to that championship level, including the Boston Celtics, right? Like they won it in 2024, and there's obviously some injury issues sprinkled in there with Jason Tatum. But if you look at their roster right now as things currently stand, there are a lot of question marks, right? There are a lot of issues on the team right now as far as fit goes. Are you confident that Anthony Simons is going to be a perfect replacement for Drew Holiday? So you wonder if the Celtics can return to that level. But I think Denver could be that team to break the mold with the off-season additions that they made, not only getting deeper, but also just getting guys who fit perfectly within the offensive scheme that they've played with that's been successful over the last couple of years in the Jokic era.